you're gonna look great. But if you wanna stay in shape, well, you better hit the ymWits.
That's right, man. Tell 'em.
Welcome to the ymWits podcast. I'm Ryan George.
I'm Justin Guild, aka Chef Sonic.
And I'm Toni Marinucci, aka Tips with Toni, your registered dietitian.
And we are the ymWits.
So, Toni, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You just recently did a Spartan race, correct?
Yes, my first one.
So, here's the question. How in the world have you been able to do anything else?
What do you mean? Like, am I not sore?
Like, no. Not
what
about
do
being
you
sore.
mean?
Well, that too.
What?
But when you're like training for a Spartan race, like all you do is train for a Spartan race. It's like you're like very busy.
Well, 2 of the 3 ymWits have done it. Yeah, you have to do it to see. You did the sprint, right, in City Field?
I did the one at City Field,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. How was it?
I loved it. Like, I'm obsessed.
Did you go with the team or by yourself?
So, well, that's the thing. Now, I can say that I'm obsessed and I loved it because I was with a team. And
Yeah.
at first, listen, I wanted to be with the team. I wasn't going to leave them behind. But I remember talking to you about this and so badly. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I work out every day. I'm strong. Like, I could really kill this. Like, I wanted to go so badly. I wanted to leave them.
Yeah, that's what.
And then I like started to, and then I felt bad. So then I pulled back. And then I just made it more like of a fun thing. But I'm 150%. Like, I want it to be next year already so I can do it and actually see what my time would be.
The 3 of us should do it next year.
It would be so fun. And it's okay if we leave each other.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, you'll be done in 45 minutes to an hour and a half anyway. So like, it doesn't matter if we, then we can talk about it later. And
Yeah,
see.
it
that'd be
was
cool.
so
Maybe
much
longer
fun.
ones. I was
Maybe-
under the impression that they're long.
There are.
Well,
there's
maybe
sprints,
that's.
and then
what I
there's
was
like
thinking.
something else, and then there's like super.
Well, so this one, it was about, like, they said it was a little bit more than 3 miles
yeah.
but in that 3 miles, you're going up and down the stadium, you're, lifting things. There was 24 obstacles, I believe. It was really intense, but the fastest woman that got first place finished it in 37 minutes.
Wow.
Like, what? Like, it takes me 30 minutes to run 3 miles without any obstacles whatsoever, without any stairs or nothing. Like, we had to hold like gallons of water. We had to put things on our shoulders, go up our stairs. We
What
had
was
to,
the hardest one for you?
well, so the hardest things I just didn't do because I don't have like good upper body strength, which is like the monkey bars,
Okay.
like the swinging from the, so then whenever you couldn't do something, you just did 15 burpees.
Oh, 15?
15. Yeah, it used to be 30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
30
that's,
burpees is tough. It's tough in and of
15, because
itself.
that's what killed me is what killed my time when I did it was there was it was a busy time, so there's a lot of people. So I think I would try to go with the higher elite, even though I'm not elite.
competitive, earlier in the morning.
I would go competitive, even though I would get destroyed by everybody, only because I wouldn't have to wait behind people. But waiting behind people killed me. And then I spent about 5 minutes waiting for the arrow throw.
I got it on my first try.
Oh wow, I didn't get it at all. So then I had to do. So I waited 5 minutes for that. Then I had to do burpees. So then I was tired.
Yeah.
And that was frustrating. But yeah.
Yeah, it definitely depends on like when you end up kind of failing the obstacle, and then when you have to do the burpees, I think dictates too like how fast you can end up going.
Yeah.
Because I got really lucky. Like at that point, that's when everyone started to fall behind because nobody got it first. I got it first. I didn't have to do any burpees. I was able to go to like the next thing, but
Next time I would just skip the arrow, go right to the burpees, and then just go on my way.
So it's more of a skilled thing, the arrow?
Yeah, you have to hit a target.
So that's not really an athletic.
Yeah, it's kind of athletic. Don't tell archers that.
And of course, archery is but a one-shot deal for someone who's not trained to do that.
Look, it's fun.
It's fun.
It was more, it was more for fun. And for that, there was like also climbing over walls. Like there's certain things you obviously have to be athletic. The thing with the walls, like they had, I'm not gonna lie, like I can't go over whatever, I think it was the 9-foot wall, but they have like a little kind of like a cheat thing, and then I can go over it, like whatever. Like I don't know, it was more for fun, I would say, but it definitely puts you in like a totally different mindset and belief of like what you can accomplish and what you tell yourself that you can't. And I just loved it for that. I just want to, it makes exercising fun in a totally different way.
We'll do it next year.
Definitely. Did you train for it specifically?
No, I didn't. But you can. Yeah. You can. Like, and someone's like, you should do a Tough Mudder. So I started looking up Tough Mudders. So like now I'm pretty positive I'm going to do a Tough Mudder. I don't want to say definitely yet because when I start it, I'll let you guys know. But that comes with like a training schedule, and that course is 10 miles. And that's like really crazy stuff. Like you have to go in like an ice bath, and you have to go in mud, and then you have to like, it's like crazy. Yeah. But so I don't know. Like either way, I looked at the training for the longer ones, and it's like, you know, kind of when you're training for a half, like 4 miles one day, 3 miles another day, cross training another day. But it gives you something to strive for.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So we have an Ask the episode today. So we got some questions from listeners, including one that someone got this in at the last minute, like literally within the last like hour. We got an Ask the question. So this guy is going to be really lucky because he's going to have his, you know, usually it takes a few weeks for us to get these out, if not more. The last one we did was in March. So, Justin, since you are the layperson of the group, you can ask the question. So you have a role here, and I'm sure you'll have your own opinions too.
Yes.
Why don't you ask the first question?
All right. So the first question comes from Ariel, and Ariel writes, "Hey guys, I just came across your podcast this week, and I love it. I'm currently catching up on all the previous episodes, so hopefully this isn't a question you've already answered. I'm starting on my fitness journey and struggling with breakfast. I'm not a morning person and I've tried multiple different things, but so far the quickest and easiest for me is a protein shake because I don't have to cook or prep anything. I can just blend and go. My question is, what protein powder will be the best for my goals? What's the difference between whey and plant-based? And is there anything I can add to the shakes to make it taste better and keep me fuller along without too many extra calories, carbs? My mother-in-law makes her protein shakes with the Beachbody's Shakeology, but that stuff is $140 a month and is too expensive for me. The protein powder market is very overwhelming. Please help." P.S. A little about me. I'm 5'6", 215 pounds, mid-20s. I was fit all through my childhood and early 20s. This is the first time I've ever been overweight and have had to be disciplined and smart about my food choices. Since my metabolism pretty much did the work for me when I was younger, I put on about 80 pounds and developed a bad habit of emotional eating during an abusive relationship that lasted a few years. Now that I've taken my life back, I'm trying to get back into fitness as well. And I'd like to congratulate you, Ariel, for taking your life back and getting out of the abusive relationship and really starting on the path to a better, stronger existence.
Absolutely. The fact that you're choosing to eat healthier and take control of your food is only a symbol of empowering yourself and building up your self-confidence and taking care of you so that you can be whole. And you know, unfortunately, what happens is when people lack taking care of themselves, they do get into relationships that don't really serve them. So congratulations to that. That's really, really great. Thank you for writing in as well. In regards to emotional eating, I will just say that is something that we're going to do a future topic or podcast on because it actually is my specialty. I work with people who struggle with kind of knowing what to eat, but just not knowing how to stick to it because of things like stress or anxiety, or feeling uncomfortable or, you know, feeling the need to binge or whatever have you. So we will touch on that at another episode. But as for starting your morning off right with breakfast, I think it's a wonderful thing. And if you're looking for something quick and easy, a protein shake can be one of those things. And as you said, a protein powder, that market is very overwhelming and there are a lot of different options. The difference between a whey-based and a plant-based, a whey-based is coming from an animal. And so if you're not a vegan or vegetarian, that would be just fine. And it is actually kind of like the gold standard for post-workout. So it depends upon when you're doing your exercising. I don't know if it says it here. If you're exercising before your workout and then you're looking to have the protein, I don't know if does it say when she exercises? No, right?
I don't believe so.
I'm not a morning person, so chances are you're not exercising in the morning if you're not a morning person. So if you want to do plant-based or whey, that's fine. If you're lactose intolerant, you might do better off with the plant-based protein in the morning since it's not post-workout. It really doesn't matter in the regards to like how your body's going to utilize it. They're both usually going to have supplements with other vitamins and minerals. So if you're taking anything else that might interact with that, just double check with your doctor. But in regards of the other ingredients, sometimes you have to read the ingredients and you want to make sure that there's not a ton of additives and words you can't pronounce, and try to look for like kind of the most simple ingredient list. with that being said, the simpler the ingredient list, usually the flavor of the protein powder doesn't taste as great, but I want you to enjoy your food. So you might have to experiment a little bit just to find out what tastes better for you. And you could always enhance the flavor by using other things to make your shake with. So I know you don't want to add extra calories or carbs. My guess is that you're thinking that carbs and calories are a bad thing, when really we have to just have balance in the breakfast. And it's not that we don't want to have a ton of calories. Obviously, you do want to try to lose weight, so you don't want to like load it up. But you do want to also have a balanced diet so that you're not overeating later on in the day. I'd recommend mixing with, if you're looking to have a base, you already have the protein powder itself, which has protein. So make sure that that scoop has at least about 20 grams per scoop. And you don't need to do 2 scoops of it, especially if you're mixing it with other things. But just at least make sure that you're getting about 20 grams of protein. And this is just a general recommendation, but about at least 20 grams of protein with that scoop. And then you can blend it with either unsweetened almond milk is a nice low calorie option. And you could also do fruit is usually lower in calories. Now it does contain carbohydrates, but it's a good source of carb. And depending on the protein powder, some protein powders have carbohydrates already in them, and some of them don't have any in them. So I don't want you to think that you need to have no carbohydrates whatsoever. You definitely just want to have a balance of both carbs and protein, and then maybe even like a little bit of a healthy fat. So you don't want to go crazy on like nut butters, but nut butters are really healthy for you, and that might enhance the flavor. It might give it has a healthy fat, so it might be a little bit more filling, and that might be kind of a good way to start your morning. And I didn't tell you guys this because it's like not 100% done yet, but I'm pretty positive by the time this episode comes out, I'm offering a free balanced breakfast challenge. Nice. So I'm assuming it'll be out by the time this episode goes out. So if you want to, Ariel or anybody else listening, join a balanced breakfast challenge, you just go to my Instagram page or go to www.tipswithtoni.com, and you can learn even more, because even though she said, sorry, this is like becoming a whole episode, but she said how like she doesn't have time to cook or prep. That part of the challenge is I'm going to be educating people on like quick, healthy, affordable, balanced breakfast items that they could be consuming, and really giving her more options other than just a protein shake. Because I think that's the first thing people go to, is it's quick and it's easy, sure. But there are plenty of other things that can be prepared within 5 minutes or less.
Yeah. One thing I would do if I knew that I was getting up extra early and I had to rush off to work, what I would do is I would get some eggs and put it in a little case that is also microwave safe. I don't love using microwave, but on desperate times calls for desperate measures. So I would just sort of, whisk them up, leave them in the fridge overnight. In the morning, pick it up, plop it in the microwave. Maybe I might put a piece of cheese in. Not everyone wouldn't want to do that necessarily. And there you go. You have some sort of makeshift scrambled eggs that provide some decent nutrition. You eat with a piece of fruit, and boom, you got a decent breakfast.
Or you can even hard-boiled eggs, hard-boiled eggs for the week and peel them. So that way they're ready to go. Put them in Ziploc bags, and, you could have that with a piece of fruit and a whole grain piece of bread, and you got a meal.
Cool. All right, well, the next question is from Jessica.
And Jessica writes, hello, I think you guys have a great podcast, and I love listening to you every week, usually while walking my dog around the neighborhood. Nice. Thank you, Jessica. My question to you is, what type of vitamins or supplements, i.e. BCAAs, creatine, pre-post-workout drinks, protein powder, would you recommend to someone trying to put on muscle? How much should I be taking? A little about me. I'm 33 years old, female, 5'6", 117 pounds, and about 12 to 13% body fat. I've been lifting for about 2 years, 4 times a week. I've been slowly getting bigger, and I know that women naturally have a harder time putting on muscle, but I don't want to be wasting my time and effort at the gym. Any advice would be wonderful. Thanks so much.
Okay. Well, Jessica, we did do a whole podcast about I'm going to answer your question. I don't think I'm not. But I do feel like it might be beneficial for you to listen to the podcast with Melanie Bomer. She was even though it was more for sports nutrition, considering your, at your height, your weight, and your body fat percentage, that would be similar to what an athlete would look like, although you want to incorporate more muscle. I would say that your weight is a little bit on the lower end. If that's normal or natural for you, then that's totally fine. And you probably have been struggling to be getting bigger your entire life, it sounds like. And in that case, it's always the more calories and with your in combination with your training is going to help put that muscle. Because as long as you're converting that energy and exercising, more calories are going to do that. But protein is really important for muscle recovery. And when it comes to supplements, I don't really think you need to take, like a vitamin doesn't have any calories per se, but a supplement will have calories and then also usually carries things like branched chain amino acids. The protein powders that are usually the kind of the gold standard, we just talked about it in just the previous question, was that, the whey protein powder post-workout is going to be best utilized by the body and tends to help with muscle recovery much faster. I would encourage you to have a protein shake. You want to aim for about 20 to 30 grams post-workout, and then like an hour later have a full meal that has at least a palm-sized piece of protein as well. I would just encourage you to have protein make sure protein is present every time you eat. So if you're eating 3 meals a day, post-workout snack, and even with your snack, maybe incorporate a little bit of protein as well. And just make sure you're staying hydrated with water as you increase your protein. But I don't know what she currently likes to eat or if she has any allergies or anything like that. But I don't think it would hurt her to take a supplement of that sort.
So Ryan, now it sounds like Jessica does lift and she knows what she's doing, but what exercises, what weightlifting exercises would you recommend for someone? I know we've talked about it before.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we talked about it. I think it's not as much the exercises. It a little bit depends on if the goal is more aesthetic versus size, for if she just wants to get bigger. Mm-hmm. I'd say if it's like just if she's just trying to put on weight, then bigger, kind of more compound movements, so deadlifts, squats, bench pressing, kind of bigger movements that involve more muscles and heavier weights are going to help with overall size. But if she's looking for more bodybuilding or sculpting type of stuff, then then it's really volume work. So doing whatever you're doing, that you're 8 to 12 reps, that you're spending a good deal of time in the gym, so 3 to 6 exercises per body part, 3 to 5 sets, 8 to 12 reps of everything, and also just focusing always on progression, so that your weights are regularly increasing, that you're trying different exercises, so just be maintaining consistency with weightlifting, but also that it's progressive, that you're constantly progressing on your weights and trying different things, and that the volume is high. So a little bit depends on if it's size for size sake versus size for like I said, then it is size for just putting on weight, because at that weight, maybe for a lot of people the goal might just be I just want to put on a few pounds.
So once again, thank you, Jessica, for writing in. I hope that helps. So our next question comes from Colm, and Colm asks, "Hey guys, your podcast is so good. I'm very interested in fitness and maintaining a healthy lifestyle in general. I am a policeman in Ireland and work shift work. There are 3 shifts. I work 7 a.m. till 5 p.m., 12 till 10 p.m., or 9 p.m. till 7 a.m. I find it hard to know what way to balance nutrition when working off these hours. Any advice is appreciated." And Colm, I could say that I feel your pain, not quite so much. You have a very demanding job, but I know it in terms of working odd hours and not being home and sort of, whether either driving or being out on foot or whatever it is a very tricky lifestyle to deal with, and oftentimes nutrition gets thrown by the wayside. Mm-hmm. You've worked for 7 hours nonstop and you're starving. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to, like for me, it would be like a diner or a pizza place, in Ireland, whatever the equivalent is. You're going to grab, a burger and fries. You're going to fried food, something like that. That's going to be instantly gratifying, but may not provide you with a nutritional sort of thing. So, I think that it's tough, but preparation, that's the advice I would give. I'm sure Toni could speak more on it. I know Ryan has dealt a lot with this too. I think you've got to have nice snacks and you've got to prepare things.
Yeah.
Nuts, fruits, things that you can take with you. So when you're starving, you can eat those. And then when it comes time for the meal, you're going to be in a better situation. You're going to be a better place to make better choices.
Welcome to Tips with Justin.
Well, no, I mean, Justin, I think you did a great job. I completely agree. I was going to say, so he has an added challenge because living a healthy lifestyle is hard enough. And now it's not like it's consistently he's working the night shift. He literally every day could be working at different hours. So you can't even get I know plenty of like nurses who I've helped in the past where they work overnight, but at least they consistently work overnight and they don't have that day shift. So we work on their food because it's consistent. It's a little bit harder with this because there's no consistency there. So what I would just say is, like Justin said, preparation is key, and don't overwhelm yourself with prepping for the whole week. I mean, you might want to, when you cook in batches, but before you start your shift, take your food with you and just at least just focus like day to day and have that food readily available and just make healthy choices for now versus going for the fried food and all that other stuff. Once you then have an idea of like what foods work best for you, where are your go-to spots, what are the options that are good for you, then maybe start to assess where you can, when you feel better. Like, do you feel better eating at your night shift, or do you feel better being able to kind of like just kind of have a little bit of snacks and then during the day is when you have your meals? Or do you want to kind of snack throughout the day and then eat your meals when you're working overnight? Because really food is fuel, but also at late night hours our metabolism is so much slower, so it's really hard to kind of say when's the best time to eat. I would just use your hunger cues, eat when you're hungry. Try not to, overeat, and choose healthy options as frequently as possible.
And of course, at night, your healthy options go down.
Right,
The things that tend to be open are fast food, pub food, things like that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but even so, like, it's hard to say because I don't know Ireland. I don't know what's available there. But I think that there's still, even at a restaurant, like you can change French fries for, not that he's probably sitting down for a meal, but I'm just saying, like, who knows? But like French fries for a baked potato, right?
Sure.
Or sometimes like the convenience stores, you have to look for it, but they usually have, like, I'm thinking, it's really hard to say because I don't know what they have, but like I would say like in New York when we have like a 7-Eleven, like you can get healthy items at 7-Eleven, even though it's quick and convenient. So just because it's a convenience store doesn't mean they're going to lack healthy items. You just might have to search for them and look. And that's why I was saying kind of pick your spots, look for your spots that are kind of like your go-to spots. And if you have the leniency to be able to choose one or the other, try to go for the one that has at least something you can get versus like if you weren't able to prepare ahead of time and carry it with you.
So, Calm, thanks once again for writing in. I hope that helps. And if you have a follow-up, please feel free to ask us. Happy to help. So our next question comes from Brad. And Brad writes, "Hi again, and thanks for answering my question a while back regarding body heat increases after training." Well, thanks for writing back, Brad. I am thinking of starting a new training program and would love some advice. I'm 5'4" and 168 pounds, following a powerlifting routine and have current 1 rep maxes of 255 bench, 345 squat, and 445 deadlifts. That's not bad at all. Jeez. I want to continue making strength gains with the same high weight, low rep program that I've been following, but want to cut some fat and improve cardio. I'm not a fan of high intensity interval training, so I'm thinking of doing 3 to 4 times a week at the gym, lifting heavy and outdoor jogging 2 to 3 times a week for about an hour at 5 miles per hour. Do you think that this is a good idea for maintaining strength while cutting fat, or should I consider something else? Thanks so much. P.S. Do the ymWits have a P.O. box or place that I can mail some local goodies from where I live?
All right, so I'll answer the first question. I will. Looks like you left your email, so I will send you an email with our with the address that we use. I don't want to necessarily kind of put it out there, but I'll definitely send it because we love free stuff. So that'd be great. So I guess I'll give my end of the answer. So a couple things. So obviously it's always tricky when you're trying to put on size and cut fat, or when you're trying to lift very heavy while also cutting. So We've talked about periodization, and even if you're not an athlete, you can kind of modify your workout to kind of reflect that. So you instead of trying to do everything at once, you go through periods of your workout where your program where you're focus more on one thing while maintaining, the other aspects. So if, it sounds like your strength gains are really good, and if you've been on this program for a long time, it might be a good thing for you to just mix things up a little bit. So maybe you take a few months where you focus a little bit more on the cardio. So, HIIT is a great style of exercise, but it's by no means the be all to end all. So if you like jogging, then jogging 2 to 3 times a week for an hour is good. I might say maybe decrease the time slightly and increase your speed a little bit if you can. So instead of going like 5 miles an hour, if you can get it up to 6 and do it at 45 minutes, that's a little bit better. So I might say that, for the cardio benefit, at the end of the day, the weight loss is mostly diet. So unless you're an elite athlete, you're really not going to burn enough calories from your exercise to make a huge difference. So if you want to do more of the fat loss, I think that's going to be more diet. But for the cardio, I think you'll get a little bit more benefit going a little bit faster and spending a little bit less time on your cardio, if that's possible. If at 5 miles an hour you're struggling and huffing and puffing, then that's a different story. But if you can bump the speed up a little bit, I would do that. As far as the strength, maybe take it down a little bit, and instead of working so heavy for the next few months, focus a little more on muscle endurance. So increase your rep range a little bit, go up to maybe 6 to 8 reps, try to stay there, but really push the weights. And then after a few months of doing this, then you kind of go back down, when you're happy with the body fat percentage, maybe then you go back down to your focus more on really the high weight, low rep. So that's just my suggestion. It's always tough to kind of manage multiple important goals at once, and sometimes it's good to give your body that rest to give your body the muscles something different. And as long 6 to 8 reps is still lifting heavy, so you're still lifting heavy, you'll still make strength gains, and then when you go back to pushing your weight, you might even notice a little bit of an increase in your strength by doing that. So that would be my suggestion.
Nice. You could take my suggestion too, which it's not the professional Ryan suggestion, but maybe attempt a weights-based circuit training, right? It's certainly not going to help your 1 rep max, maybe a tiny bit, but it will give you some nice muscle endurance. And if you're not into the super high-intensity interval training, I hate running. I find that doing circuit training really gets a nice workout while still doing weights. It will definitely increase your muscle endurance, which is never a bad thing. And psychologically, I found that I have done that where I've gone for more powerlifting type things. Then I go to circuit training where I'm focusing more on that. When I go back to powerlifting, I'm sort of reinvigorated. I'm sort of getting in shape through the other means. And then when I go back into it, I have this sort of newfound joy. Not that you ever are getting bored of your workout, but I find that when you go back into it, you're sort of re-inspired. So that might be another perk to just sort of completely changing things up. And as Ryan said, it's always, sort of always good to give a little bit of variety. So, thank you once again for Brad for writing in. And we look forward to hearing from you again still. Mm-hmm. All right, so our next question is from Megan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Megan Julia, and I'll leave your last name out for now. Mm-hmm. And Megan writes, "Hi, my name is MJ." Oh, that would have been easier if I just gone with MJ from the beginning. I'm 20 years old, and I'm from the Philippines. This isn't a question, but I found your podcast a couple of months ago, and I've been listening religiously ever since. Well, as you know, we are religious leaders as well. Ryan is a pastor, so that's good. If you need to get married, Ryan can do that. So.
Do you really do that? No, people do. You can get your certification online.
Yeah. We're all doing that, by the way. We're all getting our certifications. So I love your content so much, and I definitely relate because I do my best to keep a healthy and active lifestyle. I go to the gym almost every day, but I do not overwork myself, and I just love lifting weights. I try to eat the right food, reach my macros, and get enough vitamins and minerals in my body. Your podcast always gives me new things to learn about, keeps me motivated, and helps me push forward on my fitness journey. I've never felt stronger and happier. I love you guys. Keep doing what you're doing.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much, MJ. Well,
that was so
makes
nice.
Our day, I appreciate it. I think that every time we do an Ask the Episode, we're just going to say that question again. Just because it's awesome. Or the comment. All right, so our last question today comes from Charles. And Charles writes, thanks so much for your respective podcasts, theme songs notwithstanding. We've heard a lot about pasta being a quote unquote bad food. Are there any nutritional benefits, or is it a better nutritional profile for those who make their own?
Oh, good question. Great question. Charles actually emailed me this. I sent him an email back, and I'm happy that we're going to address it here so everyone can listen. As you guys know, if you're just tuning into the ymWits podcast, as a dietitian, I do not believe that there are good foods or bad foods. Yes, you can argue that certain foods might be bad, but they're not even really food. Pasta is a real food. It's not a bad food. It's just food we probably don't want to eat a lot of all of the time, and we want to keep it balanced. Having refined white pasta, which is your traditional pasta, is a simple carbohydrate that doesn't always benefit our body when we eat it, because then when we have it, our blood sugars go up. It can lead to weight gain, and you're not really going to feel full because it's missing that dietary fiber. With that being said, if you make it on your own, that really isn't really going to change much unless you're making it with a whole grain or a higher fiber base. So an example of that is there's more bean-based pastas, there's lentil-based pastas, and then there's just whole wheat pastas. And the benefits of having those pastas is they're going to have, so the white pasta, the refined pasta, they remove the dietary fiber, and then they enrich it with vitamins and minerals, but it's not the same of when you're getting it in its natural whole form. And when by doing that, you want to have a whole grain pasta or one of the pastas that I just mentioned. And the benefits to having that is you're going to feel fuller faster, so you're less likely to overconsume. And when we have too many carbohydrates, and we're trying to either control our blood sugars for diabetes or weight management, we definitely don't want to be overeating. Also, the overeating of something else leads to an undereating of something else. So we just want balance on the plate. So if you want to have pasta, it's completely fine to incorporate. Just make sure you're also having some non-starchy vegetables with it, maybe a source of protein with it. But if you do a bean-based pasta, then you don't necessarily have to always add the protein, because it has protein in it, has dietary fiber, and that could be an alternative. But I definitely don't want people, I'm Italian, and I think about traditionally, you don't want people to think that their traditional foods are causing all these ailments. And we all know it's not one food that makes or breaks the diet. It's a combination of our whole lifestyle. So pasta can fit in the diet. It just tends to be a little bit more on the calorie dense, carbohydrate dense side. It would be good for an athlete, right before they're going to, perform, because they need the carbohydrates and it needs to get to the muscle fast. It needs to get, not to the muscle, it needs to get to the body fast to be utilized as energy. So it definitely does fit, but for your everyday person, I would just say, stick to that plate method that I talked about before, which is, a quarter of your plate with the pasta, a quarter of the plate with the protein, and the rest of the half of the plate, your non-starchy vegetables. I think that's a great way to kind of incorporate it into your diet.
Definitely. My way of looking at pasta is I just don't eat it very often.
Or I probably wouldn't make it an everyday food.
Yeah. But enjoy it when you eat it. So make it make it a special occasion, and then go all out and eat it, but just do it rarely, right? And I think that's a good way to approach it.
Yeah, definitely. It's I'm sure there's other things in the diet that people can improve more than just their pasta. So I don't like to focus it on one food.
All right, cool. So now we have one more question that just came in, so I'm going to hand Justin my phone and let him read it. It's from Michael from the UK, and you can read this.
Nice. Hey, Michael from the UK. Thanks for writing in. So Michael writes, "Hi guys, great podcast. I have a question for you that you might be able to help me with, as I have been struggling with this for the past few years. I am 5'11", generally healthy male with a good career and generally a good social life. I have always been into sports, a fitness fan, and generally keep myself fit. The thing I struggle with on a daily basis is my stop-start type of failed attempts at going to the gym regularly in my life, and I think that this is just very common.
Very common.
I am 33 and have aspirations to be muscular and fit, and previously 3 years ago I was, and I felt so happy about it. Ever since, I have been on a slippery path where my fitness has slowly deteriorated, and I am back to square one. On average, in the last 10 months, I go to the gym once a week. I set myself the will to go to the gym at 6 a.m. in the morning, but poor sleep and lack of discipline means I miss this most of the time. Then I beat myself up about it and tell myself I am useless, and the routine starts again. I plan to wake up early, then I get distracted by the internet and reading things at night, go to sleep late, and miss the gym because I can't wake up. It's a terrible cycle. Yes, I know all about it. Mm-hmm. This has been going on for the last 10 months, and I don't know what to do. I know what my problem is, lack of discipline, and maybe I am bored of my workouts at the gym and have no real goal or understanding of how to achieve my goals. I end up waking up disappointed most days because every day I think about going to the gym, miss going to the gym in the morning before work, and then beat myself up about how unbelievably stupid I am for making the same mistakes again and again and unable to get myself out of this situation. I would really welcome your suggestions. In the past, I have ran marathons in various parts of the world, was fit and muscular, which boosted my self-esteem, but now all seems to be gone, and I am demoralized about being unable to achieve what I want. On the positive side, my diet is very good. I eat green vegetables and get necessary nutrition and rarely eat junk food. I started out as a habit 8 years ago, and now it is a part of my life like breathing. I gravitate towards healthy, home-cooked food. Thank you from the UK, Michael.
All right, Michael, well, thanks for the details. So something to ask yourself is how were you able to make those modifications to your diet? And what kind of obstacles did you face, and how did you overcome those obstacles? Because a lot of times it's very similar to what you're going to do with your exercise. I think a lot of it comes down to structure. So I will say, there are certain habits that, will kind of that typically kind of predict and help with success. So, it sounds a situation of really structure more than anything else. Like, and finding ways to structure your life and your workouts to breed some success. So a couple things to think about is maybe, when you start getting back into it or getting into the gym, maybe not starting with a lofty goal, or just, kind of slow and steady. Just get yourself back in, do what works, do what feels comfortable, build the habit, right? So that's one way to kind of approach it. If you find that you kind of have these huge ideas and then you get in there and once that idea fizzles, you're stuck with nothing, but your own motivation and mindset, then sometimes it's a little harder. Now, the exact opposite is maybe there is some kind of a goal that you do want. If you run marathons, maybe there is an athletic event or something. Now, the reason with that goal, though, there has to be a date connected to it. So like a marathon or a bodybuilding competition or a game or something that you're doing. So to contradict what I said earlier, if there is a goal but that has some kind of a date associated with it, maybe you can do something like that, because that could help kind of get your mind set on it. So you kind of have these two sides of the coin. Another thing to consider is tracking what you're doing. So maybe it's tracking your weight, or it's taking photos, or it's taking measurements, or taking body fat, but kind of like regularly checking in to see how you're progressing as a way to keep your mind on your program and kind of keep you somewhat accountable to what you're doing. Another huge thing is some kind of a social force. So it could be a trainer. If having a personal trainer is prohibitive, with time or cost, then maybe it's doing some kind of maybe a Facebook group or some kind of a buddy system or friend or some group that you can hold each other accountable. Maybe it's doing some kind of an online training program where you have, again, somebody that's holding you accountable. So, start thinking about maybe what kind of a social force is out there to help you, again, whether it's a friend or a trainer or a group or a Facebook group or a running group or something where you have people to bounce off of and feed off of as far as your energy. And just kind of find something that's sustainable. That's something that you can do right now. And try not to beat yourself up over making mistakes. I think a big thing right now is, you've got kind of different levels of exercise, and you've got the level right now is you're not doing it. And so anything is better than not doing it. So you find what's sustainable and try that. And you can't beat yourself up over, if you don't go to the gym, instead of beating yourself up over it, you just kind of have to think, okay, what was the obstacle that I faced and how can I overcome that next time? So use it as a learning experience. Like, instead of, if you miss a day at the gym, don't get mad at yourself and wallow in your own pity. And it sounds like you're eating well, but for some people, then that kind of, there's a cascade effect where less sleep and diet and everything becomes a mess. But instead of doing that, just kind of think, like, what was the obstacle? Was it time? Were you not prepared? And figure out what that obstacle was and find a way around it. And so I think that's really the key is, when you're having this kind of a struggle, you kind of have to structure things in a way that really helps make it as easy as possible. You got to find the path of least resistance, unfortunately. And since, with diet, you have to eat. So you to a large extent, you can control that, if you, as long as you have the willpower. With exercise, it's a little bit harder because you don't have to exercise. So you actively have to go to the gym or, go for a run. So it does require a little bit more effort to do that. So it's really just finding all those obstacles and find what's the path of least resistance and get yourself into it. And then, again, if you choose the first option of not having a goal, just start, just get the habit, just build it, and then that day where you're like, I'm into it will come. I've been doing Muay Thai for a long time, and last time I fought was like 4 years ago. And for the last couple of years, I kind of didn't have the motivation to train as much as I had. And recently, within the last months, I was bit by the bug again. It just came back. And in the time off or the time between, I was still training, but that motivation comes and goes. So as long as the habit's there, when it comes, you're back at it. And when it goes, you do what you can to maintain. So that's, hopefully this helps. I definitely know where you've been, and I've been through this with lots of people. So you just kind of have to find that way around it.
Yes. And may I suggest listening to our Day Zero episode, which we released a while ago, but I think it might have some cool little tidbits and ways to approach this. And may I also recommend setting, we were talking with someone recently who did this. I think the person used their phone basically as little sets alarms and reminders for everything. And maybe combine this with, I forget the guy's name. He actually has a very successful podcast. And he talks about, and we don't know if this is necessarily behavioral science or what, that if you're able to do something really 3 days in a row to break out of your pattern, it can really help in sticking with something new. So if you're able to get to the gym, 3 days, in a row, or 3 days, during a week, then hopefully you could break this pattern. But use your phone to set an alarm for a bunch of different things. At night, have the little message come up, say, go to sleep now. When he wakes up, the message says, go to gym now. Try that. Right? Maybe.
And don't press the snooze button.
Don't press the snooze, right? Just try it and see if you can get it done a few times. Force yourself to go to sleep. Set the reminder to get up and go to the gym. See if that helps. And once you get into it, you can get bit by the bug again, as Ryan said, and maybe you break out of the vicious cycle that we've all been through.
Yeah, you're definitely not alone in this. It is completely normal. I think the biggest thing you need to think about is I think you're comparing you did huge things, like you ran a marathon, you were highly, you were training at a higher level and higher intensity, and now you're not into it that much. So I feel like even when you go to the gym, you're already comparing yourself to what was, but this is a new part of your lifestyle. This is a new you. It doesn't have to be that because you're not doing the same high intensity training that you were doing before, that you're now all of a sudden a failure, even when you get to the gym. And that's probably why that one day doesn't turn into 2 days, because you're upset with yourself that it doesn't look like how it used to look like. And it doesn't have to look like that. I think the most important thing is just get there. Just get to the gym. Because right now we're having trouble just getting there. That's the first thing you need to do. Once you're there, then you can figure out the workout and just take it day by day. But I think Ryan and Justin gave you awesome tools that you can utilize to at least get you started. Because that motivation does not stay. It comes and goes. But when it's there, you just have to act on it. And eventually the habits will form.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that is it.
Thanks for everyone for writing in.
Seriously, thank you so much,
send
guys.
Send questions. You can either send email thegymwits@gmail.com or fill out the form on our website. And yeah, we love it. It's awesome. Whether it's a question or feedback or goodies, which I'll send my email, the email, or the address. But yep, that's it. So as usual, all of our stuff is at ymWits.com. And I'm Ryan George.
I'm Justin Guild, a.k.a. Chef Sonic, reminding you that truth does not sell.
And I'm Toni Mariucci, a.k.a. Tips with Toni, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.
And we are the ymWits.